right, well, once again, we have quorum at this time. It is, once again, October the 17th, it is 6:04, and we're going to begin with the meeting for today. So, let's call the order, to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a vote?
Yes. Yolanda Gutierrez Garcia, absent. Armando Lopez.
Present.
Yolanda Aker Rodriguez. I'm sorry, Dale Aker Rodriguez, absent. Julio Mendez.
Present.
Dr. Martha Villarreal. Present. Dr. Colin Campbell, absent. Pedro Chapa.
Present.
Roberto M. Lopez.
Here.
Angie Moore, absent. No.
Okay, so first thing we have is citizens' comments and
No citizens?
no citizens and no comments, okay. So, the minutes, I don't know if everybody had a chance to read them before. If you haven't, so if we can take a look at it, or if you want to take a look at it, we can.
Do you have a copy of the meeting?
They're there. I think they should be on the.
No, I picked it up.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Thanks.
Can we entertain a motion to accept the minutes? That's
So
all.
moved.
I second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody, so it passes. Then we have communication announcements.
Anita, I think this would be.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Anita Stanley. I'm the Assistant Director for the Parks and Recreation Department. I've come before you because we have an Adopt a Spot application. The Adopt a Spot and the Adopt a Park applications were created about a year ago. Nothing new, we didn't invent the wheel, other cities are doing this. But what we did is we wanted to ensure that we had some device whereby we can go through proper channels. And so the applications were created, and public will come to us, the community will come to us, organizations, whether it be Boy Scouts, Rotary clubs, schools even, will approach us asking us to perhaps adopt a park. They want to maintain it for a year or so, or 6 months. Or they want to do a cleanup project and perhaps do some weeding and some trash collecting or what have you. The other side of that is an Adopt a Spot application. Now, this is an application where the public, again, will approach us and ask us if they can add a bench, or if they can add a shade cover, or any type of amenity that we would have at a park. This also includes art. And so as I mentioned earlier, art is something that, while it is very, there's a vast array of taste for art, you know, and there's different opinions and there's different styles and what is art. We wanted to ensure that we had a process that we used, and to bring this forward, to get some type of a recommendation. And so this is why I'm here. We have one such request. We've had others, and so that's why we're coming forward, because we wanted to have some type of a process. If you've gone through North Central Park, you will see variety of murals. Now, there's been pushback on some of these murals. I don't know how they were placed there. I know they you know, went through some sort of channels, whatever was there at the time. They were placed there several years ago. And so what we want to do is create a process where the artwork, the proposed artwork, is looked at and it is determined by the community and by the community representatives, which would be our council members. And so since you all are, as a board, nominated by council members, you are the voice and the extended hand of council. And so they have a good feel of what their constituents want in their neighborhoods, you know? And so that's where I'm coming from, that's where we as a department are coming from. And so I've got one such application for Adopt a Spot, and it is at, the only concern here is that they are asking us to do the project in November. I don't know why their time frame is such, but they have asked us. And Harmony is the proposed applicant. It is the applicant, I'm sorry. And Harmony School, it's in front of Johnny Rendon Park. And so they're asking us if they have permission to put a mural. And so this is why I'm here tonight. I wanted to show you the mural that that Harmony is asking for. I'd like to pass it around. It's very colorful, and it does depict several activities that we do in our parks. It was drawn by an artist in marker, and I think it's kind of cool. But I want to make sure that we have some, you know, I don't know what the wishes of council are with regard to what art projects do we want in our parks, or you know, this is different from in our city. You know, in our city, I guess it's even more eclectic. You can have, you know, at the airport, you've got a beautiful art project there. The two horses, two cowboys.
Yeah,
No, yes. Very, very pretty. And so I don't know what is the desire for moving forward. And so we wanted to kind of make sure that we had something in place. So
I think
this is
that's the
why-
question that Gail has been asking since I joined, and probably before, is that what is our role with regards to those things? Because we don't have a budget.
Not yet.
Not yet. And so all that we have been called to do is on projects where there's amounts budgeted somewhere else, that we develop a process for, if it's a competitive thing, that we look at, you know, that we set up a system for it.
Mhm.
In terms of something like that, I don't think we've been given any guidance by council, right?
And
This is the law.
the school, okay, so it is in the park.
It is in the park. It's at the
Okay,
Johnny
that's by
Rendon.
the baseball field.
Yes.
Right.
And so there is, as you walk into the baseball field, it is literally right, you're facing it. It's a huge concrete cinder block wall.
As far as the art piece itself, I think it's extremely good for that particular thing. When you have, you know, a situation where they're creating activities and they're all activities done by children, and this is actually a park for baseball, which is for Little League. So actually, you're gonna have kids that are going to be more or less even on that particular age. so I think that it would be very appropriate now.
May I interject and just say something? I think that as a commission, it behooves us to come up with some kind of a guideline or criteria for parks, because it's mainly children. And we want to make sure that whatever gets done there is relevant to them and not
Correct.
offensive to anybody. So, I think that is beautiful. I mean, that's just an example of something we would want in a park.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've taken care of, even in the one for the building downtown.
Right, right.
We had very good ones, but actually the one that we selected actually was more directly to the type of people that were going to be
Right,
inhabiting
right.
that particular facility. So I think that's one of the things that we have, I think up to now, looked at whenever one of those presentations have been done by artists.
But we haven't discussed anything specific to children.
Yeah,
And I think, because it's children, you
Yeah.
know, and we don't want to offend parents or anybody else, that, you know, I'm not for limiting art. Art is art,
yeah.
you know, and we should be very free with ideas. But we need to have a certain guideline, just
Yeah.
as, you know, not to really clamp on anybody's or cramp on anybody's style, because art is freedom. And so, but I think that at some point, we're gonna have to say, you know, no to certain things.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
we have-
few, hopefully,
Yeah.
but no to certain
No, but we
things.
have to look at the demographics of where these things are going to be
Right.
placed at. I think that's an important
This
aspect
is
to it.
gorgeous.
So I think the answer is that we haven't been given that authority yet by the
But
city.
in the coming ordinance, it says you're gonna have a public art plan, and you're gonna make recommendations for sites,
Yeah.
and just the scope of the
So we'll
project
have some
itself.
homework as soon as that thing gets passed. And maybe one of the first ones will be what happens with that program that you have, where people are, you know,
Maybe if it's an art
Right.
project, then it has to come before,
And personally speaking,
we don't wanna make this.
no, I would love to bring all the art for the reason you just stated. Art is art, and it is eclectic, and it is all over the place. I mean, I sat at a train for 15 minutes yesterday. I actually am enthused. I see some of this artwork on the trains, and it's very,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's very riveting. It's kind of like, and then you just wonder, wow, where has this train car been? You know, how far has it been? And you look, and it's like, wow, that doesn't look like art from here. I wonder how far it's traveled. And so you see different, you know, art is just a depiction of who you are, who the artist is, what they've experienced, and where they live, what
And
their
it's
culture
beautiful,
is.
because it's
It
different,
is.
it's dynamic,
It,
is.
it absolutely is, but what I do find offensive, especially if, you know, when my children were younger, seeing some of these train cars and seeing something that, oh, that's not really appropriate, art or not, that's just not appropriate, and I wasn't really comfortable with my daughter.
Like you wouldn't have, you wouldn't have a picture of a marijuana plant in one
Well,
of the.
precisely, and so this is why I love, and please consider this, in your processes that you're going to be creating, I would love that art, just, you know, maybe that would be one of the criteria, that it would have to be age appropriate, or
And
depending.
that's in the scope, if they decide they wanna put a mural here, that's in the scope of the work, okay, it has to be appropriate,
Right,
Yeah,
and that would be part of the annual plan.
yeah, the appropriateness is.
so I think that's why I said we have a lot of homework if this thing gets passed,
Yeah.
when it gets passed, I'm sure.
Yeah, we have to,
So that we can first attack the ones that are the most
Pressing.
repetitive, like parks and public areas. I think probably that's the first thing we have to, and then we have to differentiate, I think, between the ones that we fund with that, or that are being funded in an alternative way.
And I
In which
think that there's a provision in there, the department is funding it, it still goes through.
It goes through us, but you all have, you know,
You're the ones paying.
yeah.
But are you paying for this?
This is materials, right?
the application is alluding to perhaps the city of Laredo, and so I'm not sure if by city of Laredo, they mean city of Laredo Councilwoman Bielma or City of Laredo Parks and Recreation. So it's
For
not
now, it has to
clear.
be either or, maybe later when there's actually money.
Right.
True. And by no means do we mind. We love these beautiful, especially if the kids are involved. I
Mhm.
mean, the
In
brick
the
projects
creation.
where kids are painting bricks,
That's beautiful.
that's kids taking ownership. And so that speaks volumes, and it carries a lot of weight, because if a kid participated in some type of beautification project, chances are they're not gonna be the ones in 10 years who are gonna be graffitiing or tearing apart or tagging or what have you. So, no, and I'd love this to be a process. For art projects, you know, I'd love to have, okay, this is what we need to do. We get a request, I need to see your sample, it's gonna go to a committee, then it's gonna go to our Parks Board, just to let you know, this has already been approved by the
Art
Art Commission, and, you know, want to just keep you informed, this is gonna be going up in North Central, or it's gonna be going up in Bartlett, or what have you.
No, that'd be great.
So, I think that would help us a lot, you know, we're doing, I know the city as a whole, but our department is growing, very quickly. And so I wanna make sure you know, I spoke with Coach about it, he's our acting director, Parks director. And so we had a conversation, and that was one of the things, you know, as we're growing, we need to make sure that, we have a process in place, you know, and not just kind of like,
as it comes, yeah.
right, you know, grow, and it's just like, oh.
And I foresee that we'll have a process for like new construction in your parks, where the public art is already, you know, incorporated into the design and so forth.
Mhm.
And then we'll have this sort of situation where you have a blank wall and people are trying to beautify an existing park already.
Yeah, and we get the murals, not the murals, the El Muro,
Right.
we put that up at North Central,
Mhm.
and that's a very beautiful piece of art.
It is.
It's a wall, freestanding wall, and it's got some wings.
Wings.
And so you stand in there, and it's got beautiful words on the side. And so we were very blessed that it was very appropriate, you know, but had it been commissioned by somebody else, and it's like, oh, we're gonna put this there. Had it not been that, you know, but by having a process, we make sure that won't happen.
Well, the hand you can give us is you initially, when you talked to us before we had formed, you indicated that you're not reinventing the wheel here, that other cities do this. Maybe check in to see what their processes are
For artwork.
for artwork. If they already have, like if they have a commission or something like that, how they process and then maybe bring us that so that we can use it as the foundation for our own policies.
And just out of curiosity, how many parks are there?
Just over 100.
And I'm wondering if every park has
A wall or-
a wall or a canvas or
Yeah.
and if not, why not provide that particular park with something like that so that, you know, every
There's a
single
lot of
park.
different things that can be done that are smaller,
Yeah.
that I've seen in many occasions. For example, there was several that I was looking at, that, for example, there's a gas meter, and the gas meter was standing on two legs, so they painted a pink and they put in the back the neck of a pelican, of a flamingo. You can take, there's another one that it was one of the grills for drainage, and what they did was that they painted it red, and they put the head of a fly and the wings of a fly, and then the stem of the, so there's different things that you can do
Yes.
in parks and different things that are very small, they don't require that much money. And maybe even some artists will be willing to do it without the necessity of providing anything for them. They will do it just because of the fun of doing it, which is some of the walls that you can see in the North Central Park, which are in the back of the homes, that nobody gave them permission probably to do it, but they're interesting, they're beautiful, they're appealing, and you walk through there, and you know, it's refreshing to see. But there's a lot of different things that can be done that can embellish the parks, and that's something, you know, that we might be able to look at.
You know, something else, every district, every council member has parks under their, how much would it cost to build, not a high wall, but just something where we could And I'm thinking of the idea that Jorge Vasquez had in the 80s, that he wanted, and that was his dream, to have art depict the neighborhood. It would define, it would express the culture of a particular neighborhood. And I talked to him, the last time I talked to him, he still has, he says, you know, Laredo is very rich in culture. And every barrio has its own identity. Every barrio has its own culture. My dream way back then, and he started with the Azteca, and he started building, doing these beautiful murals. And he told me, you know, why doesn't the city, and I said, well, we'll present it to the city council and see if the council members would, you know, go for the idea of having some kind of art in every neighborhood, especially in their parks. How expensive would it be to build, and I don't mean a huge wall, but something where we could have some art? I don't know, that's an idea.
And that could be part of the plan where you evaluate each district and see where.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many barrios we had in Laredo.
Many barrios.
I enlarged amount and I saw some of the names and I was floored. I had not heard, but that's a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
You know, take ownership. I think that's a neat.
I was just gonna say that that's, the barrios were during the territorial times. Now I think that they're not as territorial, but the people that are from there originally, you know.
Fascinating.
But the neighborhood still exists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the older folks still live there. And I think it's worth exploring and looking into.
The one that comes to mind forefront is La Azteca. And then the one, and I don't know what it's called, behind the college.
El Chacuán?
No,
El Tonto.
no, La Ladrillera.
Ladrillera.
La Ladrillera and the Molines, and, I mean, they're, El Puente Blanco, they're all over. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. El Tonto
La
is one.
Catarranas.
And I was, some of
And you
the,
know, and some of the barrios don't have a park in them. Like
Yes.
my neighborhood doesn't have a park. El 14 doesn't have a park.
this is true.
That's right. El 14.
We have to go.
We had to go build a park there.
All of them.
You know,
El Tongera
I,
is on El 14. Who the building is named after.
way back in the 90s, I went to San Francisco with a project, and we looked at the Mission District. And all those neighborhoods where all these Latinos and Hispanics, and they all had, and it was gorgeous. They had these little empty lots that they completely redid with the most incredible art. I mean, it was like, wow. And I thought of, that's what came to mind when Jorge Vasquez was talking to me about the barrios, because that's what they did over there. I mean, that's in the, I don't know if they still exist, but they were beautiful. And it gave them a sense of belonging, which is great. But it's just an idea.
Okay,
There's many
we're ready.
possibilities.
So we like it?
Yeah.
Well, we can't vote on it, so.
Yeah, we can't vote on what you
No, I
do.
understand.
But I'm ready to write, you know, I mean, I like to write stuff, so I mean, I'm ready to write little, you know, how the process goes so that it moves fast, it's predictable, and all the, what we end up doing is having maybe a slight discussion, but not really on the, just making sure that it meets the age appropriate, all those other things. But something so that you can hear the process, goes to the Commission for Arts first, then it goes back to the Parks Board, and so you're looking at 3 months or you know, or 3 more, 4
Not a
months.
month.
You know,
Not a month,
not a
you know.
month.
2
Yeah.
months.
And I'm sure the council can, you know, will devise something where if they want to put up art.
Something they can pay for.
Immediately,
yeah.
yes, they can,
And it's happened, so.
yeah. Somebody's coming, the Pope is coming, for example, you know?
Yes.
And they want something up like this.
Yes.
I'm
And
sure
understood.
council always can do something, you know?
I don't know if they wanna go present to city
Especially
council.
if Trump is coming.
I don't think so. I think
I can see what the wall.
But we're
what
being
the
old.
wall is gonna look like. Hello. Just saying. No, for this one, I think just the fact that I I brought it here and you all like the artwork. I think that's sufficient because we don't have a process in place. And so I think I can go forward with our Parks Board and just let them know, this is what we're doing. And I may not even be able to because our parks, we just met. And so they want to finish this by November. They're asking for a whole week, and I want to say it's the second week.
It's probably Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah.
That's probably.
Because they're off for a week, so that's when they wanna do it.
Yeah, and so I want to say it's like the first week. Oh, here, November 5th, 7th, 12th, 14th.
Oh.
And since it is a private entity and it's not requiring any funds,
Well, it
wouldn't that be
is,
something that
maybe.
maybe Parks and
I guess
Recreation
that's what
could
they have to
actually
explore.
be autonomous and be able to say, sure, let's go ahead and do it. And that way, if that is the case, then it may not require.
I think that the only thing that, and the reason that you're asking for guidance is because, if you do this at this park, let's say, for example, somebody's gonna say, well, I wanna go do this at this park. And it's just not the same, it's not the same, it doesn't match exactly, like it's not a school doing
Right.
it, or, you know, kids doing it, or something like that. They can say, well, what's the process then?
Yeah.
And that's what you need from us, is a process so that it's predictable. So that a church maybe can go to another park and say, well, we would like to do this here at this one. And then, of course, there's the question,
Yeah.
is if it's a religious depiction, you know, and it's our
City
money.
property might not.
Yeah, see,
fly.
that's,
No, that
that's,
probably would not.
that's what I'm saying, go look at what other places have done. Because the barrios, if the barrios like Guadalupe was okay, you know,
Right.
that's that, you know.
Guess what they're gonna have
So
on
in
their
Yeah,
wall?
right.
that case, we'll be looking only at the content, not necessarily at the funding.
Right,
Okay.
so,
Right, I've got my homework, I will definitely do that, I'll share that with Maria so that she can bring it,
Next meeting? and
forward, yeah, and let me know. But you're absolutely right, and you nailed it, and so, how do you pick and choose? I mean, it's not
and that-
me
and
who's
then you
gonna.
get that whole favoritism thing, and
Exactly,
Right.
and that's what I don't do that, and so, okay, figure out a process, how is it gonna work? So, good, very
Right,
good.
thank you.
Well, thank you so much for bringing it, and it's good that we have also people outside interested in finding them.
I agree, and I think the more that we start doing this, you know, that's why the contracts were made and started working with legal. But I started seeing a lot of scouting, and I thought that was really cool. So we got a lot of neat benches throughout some of our
Yeah,
parks,
that's
and
nice.
that's really cool throughout our linear trails also. So that was really cool. So I like the involvement of really, you know, working with the recreation aspect of it and learning about different kids in different neighborhoods. They take ownership, they'll take care of it. And so the more we get stuff like this in there, I think it'll,
Yeah. Even benches can be
Big difference.
beautified.
Yes.
yes, there you
Very
go.
pretty.
Yes,
Even
I agree.
benches can be beautified, so there will be just blocks, but they have some art to it. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all
Thank you.
very much for your time.
Okay. Staff report.
Have a status on the ongoing city murals. The one at the North Central Park, the one that Gustavo is doing, he's already started working on it this past Tuesday. He's working at night because he's using a projector to
Yeah.
project, and then he anticipates that he'll finish it by the end of November. Right now, the Environmental and Parks Department are supporting him with food, beverages, supplies, generator, portable toilets, all that, which is what Keep Laredo Beautiful said they would help him with.
Right.
Okay. The other one, the Marta C. Narvaez apartment mural, Mr. Castillon has not signed the contract yet with the contractor. But the actual work is not scheduled to start in January, so I think he's still,
I think I talked to him about it, because he was in the play. And he told me that he had been in contact and that until they were finished, that he would not be able to begin working. So-
yes.
So he might be waiting for that to happen, to do anything else that he might need to do to.
Yes, and like he said, it's probably not gonna start till January.
Right, so, yeah, he's very excited about being able.
Yes, he was when he went before council. As for the existing city murals, there is some provision in the new ordinance coming in for maintenance.
Okay.
And so I don't know, if you wanna hold off on the ones that we talked about that needed to be either retouched or redone, and that way you can include them in the program, the plan
Yeah.
for the year.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would be a good idea.
Let's see. And then, the next item,
The tiles are already at the,
at the center?
at the Center for the Arts.
Okay.
Yeah, I took all the boxes, the 2 boxes of tiles.
Let me talk to the Public Works Director to see when he can meet us, or meet me there to see what he can do, or meet with
If
Rosie.
you let me know, I'll be glad to go.
Okay, I did talk to Ms. Cabello, she said that to go forth with it, but, so that maybe there might be some funding in there to get it done.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. Yeah, I was thinking in that one, you know, we had more or less proposed that it would be on the floor.
I think so, and he's a little skeptical, but he wants to go look at it.
Yeah. What I was thinking is if that cannot be done, I think that there's sufficient tiles to do it at the entrance,
Yes.
on the walls at the entrance that go around the.
Oh, okay, that's an idea.
There, it will be a very
Yeah.
colorful,
Entry.
and you will have no problem with, anybody stepping on it or
Yeah,
what have
true,
you.
and not
So
fading them.
That would be a possibility also, so,
Okay.
yeah. that would
All
be
righty,
good.
let me see when, either he or his workers
Okay,
can meet us there,
tell her.
okay?
If possible, not on Mondays. or
Not Mondays.
Wednesdays. Mondays and Wednesdays, because I teach class on those days, and I would not be able to do it.
Okay. And then, the next item, Mr. Perez, the Texas Commission for the Arts, I know that an event was held October 10th.
Yeah, we had an event, and it came out very nice. We had donations on beverage and also on the food. And we consider that we had approximately 275 people that came in.
Really?
There was very good conversation about it. We did a presentation of basically the same thing that we did here on the previous meeting that we had. And we had 90, I don't know how many
It's like-
was extra, but 90-some people that actually signed up to be a
and-
part of the organization.
And they want more information on it
Yes.
and.
So, it was very positive. There's gonna be continued work on it. The next step that, it is planned is to be able to, go to the people that participated in the Yo-Yo Ma, commission that we did, or group that we did, in order to be able to begin exchanging ideas as to what are some of the groups that we can actually contact to be able to integrate the group that is trying to put the Commission of Arts and Culture in the district. So everything is working fine. It's just a matter of time, but everybody was there, Mr. Lamantilla, Teresa, Alisa, and all the rest of the group, so, all the Isas. So, but it was very successful, and what I was glad to see is that there were a lot of young people that were actually participating and came because they were interested in promoting this particular district. So I think it was very, very successful. And we'll see.
Did we have representation from our commission?
I was there,
I was there too.
yeah.
Good.
So I think that.
They had us at hello.
The what?
They had us at hello as a line from a movie. Yeah. Stop talking, we're already, we are already in.
We're in the choir. We're in the choir.
So it went very nice. There was also some people selling their arts and crafts. We had music. We had, what is it called? The Christ. What is it? What's his name?
Oh, diabetic Jesus.
Diabetic
Oh,
Jesus.
God.
He's diabetic, and, you know,
And his
he has
name's
long
Jesus,
hair,
and his
so he's
name's
very-
Jesus?
It's not ill, right? He's a name, you know.
and he plays very much karma type music,
Yeah.
It was very
Oh, my
good.
goodness.
I need to.
He had 2 or 3 keyboards going and the drum machine.
And
It was
he
very
actually
good.
does.
The tacos were good.
Is there a timeline as, you know, to keep it?
There was, I think
To keep
they,
the momentum
Yes,
going?
they have an
The
application
minutes?
due in January.
Yes.
So they're gonna push it up and start writing.
No, I mean for the committees to come together and start talking and.
that's
and
what
having-
the next meeting is going to be about.
Do you know when it's gonna be?
They haven't given me a date yet, but I'll talk to Teresa and Alisa and to find out when that is going to be and when I know we'll put it up.
But I think they're compiling all of the information, because there was actual questionnaires, you know, what do you think, what purpose it would serve, what's the thing that you think needs to get going, you know, what's the first,
the letter of
Prerogative.
intent is due January
There you
15th,
go.
and the application's due June 2020.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that there's time to be able to do it, and,
I'm sure they're putting together some sort of video presentation.
yeah. And they had a videographer out there.
Mhm.
Oh, wow, that's great.
so
And we, at SLAM, we actually got a little bit of the spillage. There were people that went to the SLAM, 'cause we had a SLAM right afterwards. And we got people there that had never been, but had heard that something was going on over there because they had photos of Chibi in their
Yeah.
display. And Chibi actually was there at the event, and then he did his poetry 20 minutes later.
at 201, right?
That's what we got.
And there was an exhibit by Chibi's
Cuts and
out
Yeah,
that,
yes.
was there. So it was a nice event, very nice event. So, yeah, it's moving, it's moving.
Good, good.
And status of the Laredo Public Arts Program.
I've given you a copy of what was actually in the packet that was presented for council, and just that, next Monday's the final reading for it.
All right, so the items for discussion are the Laredo Poet Laureate Program. And there is a copy of the
Draft
handout.
nomination form.
So,
I don't know if you wanna go ahead and take a look at it right now.
yeah, I kind of took a look at it.
I've incorporated so that it can also be a self-nomination, or somebody else can nominate somebody.
Did we have a criteria?
I took this from, other cities that
I
have.
mean, they don't have to be published always, or,
No, that's one of the.
That's one of the things that we took out.
Uh-huh, because
Okay.
some of them were very strict, very academic, you had to have work
Right.
published, and some were looking at more like the poet of the people, not necessarily,
Yeah.
published, but active in the community and.
I think the only place that has anything like that is at the section there called, that says eligibility. They must have a compelling portfolio of work, have an established history of activity in the Laredo community, i.e. reading, publications. So, and then it was be regarded as a local expert in the field of literary arts. Professionals in literary arts might have received awards, demonstrated involvement in local folk groups and so forth. Ability to make a positive community connection, be a current resident of the city. I think we discussed that one of the meetings that we had, whether we wanted the person to live here.
Mhm.
And then pass a standard background check.
If, like I said, you don't have to, you.
I like the way, I think that's broad enough to allow
yeah.
every type of poet to
To apply.
or be nominated.
I think there's plenty of them.
There are.
There are.
And there's, there are so many genres of poetry out there practiced in our community that I think we're gonna get a good.
Good mix, yeah.
Good mix.
I keep thinking of Mark Lepona, because I love his poetry.
Yeah,
He is
there you go. And then
amazing.
you have.
And Rosa Maria de Llano, and
Exactly.
Raquel Sequies, and, oh, and there's
Raquel,
a
yeah.
lot of.
There's a lot of potential there.
Very good.
I know that the last one that I remember was Andres Rodriguez.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was the last poet laureate I remember that was recognized by the city. They didn't have a process, but I think at one point he was writing. I know I have his book, so. So, do we need action on this one?
Well, that's basically what we are we're doing, item for discussion and possible action.
I move that we approve the nomination form prepared by staff with input from the committee to be forwarded to city council for their consideration.
I second that.
Everyone for?
Aye.
Anybody against? Nobody, so it passes unanimously. And good. Anybody wants to make any more comments or?
Anything for next time?
Okay. Very good. And so then let's go to the scheduling of the next, no. Yeah.
That's it.
Schedule the next meeting agenda. We mentioned that it was gonna be on the 21st.
At 5:30
At
here.
5:30 here. So that is already taken care of. Any more
Any items that you would like included? Right now, it doesn't, you don't have to give them to us right now, if you think of them later on.
Right.
I would like maybe a list of the departments in the city that are gonna have similar or have had similar projects that their department has to, like, well, now we know Parks has one. We know that Community Development has because of the,
Mhm.
you know.
I know environmental is very interested.
You just figure out the different the ones that would possibly need to funnel their projects
Mhm.
through here, so that we can.
And I know I've had discussions with at least one of the directors who has a nice wall on his building that he would like maybe something, but now since there's gonna be funding,
Yes.
that might be something to consider.
Yeah. We can do that. Okay, then there's nothing else.
I move that we adjourn.
Then anybody second?
Second.
Everybody agrees? Yes.
Amen.
Okay, unanimous?
So did they schedule your surgery or not?
They canceled it because my EKG showed a little abnormality. And so I panicked. So they did 2 days of being with Dr. Figueroa. I'm like, nothing, there's nothing.